Ladies, find out who you are with Pastor Natalie Reid in Releasing Inner Beauty.
Welcome to Releasing Inner Beauty broadcast. I am Pastor Natalie Reid, facilitator of this women's ministry. I welcome you out to the broadcast. We're going to deal with the second half of Embrace Your Irritation. On the first half of Embrace Your Irritation, we found out that the word embrace means to clasp in the arms or to hug, to accept or to cherish. We were in the book of 1 Samuel, the first chapter, and we're going to be there again with this. In 1 Samuel chapter 1, starting at verse 7. This went on year after year. Whenever Hannah went up to the house of the Lord, her rival provoked her till she wept and would not eat. Now we're dealing with Hannah and Peninnah. And we're dealing with the fact of us, you and me, embracing our irritation. Hannah was provoked by Peninnah. But here in verse 7, the Bible tells us that it went on year after year after year. Peninnah provoked her because Peninnah had children and Hannah had none. So as I studied this, I began to really come to understand that in this story, God had a plan for Hannah's life. Even though Hannah could not understand the plan, even though Hannah was impatient, Hannah was vexed, Hannah was troubled, while all of this was going on, God still had a plan for her life. Part of the plan was God postponing her years of childbearing. And so it is with you and I. Sometimes we feel that we're barren, we're unable to bring forth, but if you can just grasp hold to understand that God has a plan, and part of that plan could very well be that we're unable to birth in this time. Because if we go on and read the story, we'll find that Hannah was able to bring forth a son by the name of Samuel. Well, I don't want to deal with the bringing forth. I want to deal with the embracing of the irritation. So as we find God having a plan for Hannah, I want to encourage you to let you know that God has a plan for you. If you could just accept your irritation, if you could just understand that barrenness is not always a bad thing. If you could just come to grips and understand that whatever the adversary may be right now, it is not bad. For the book of Romans declares that all things work together for the good to them that are called according to his purpose. And I want you to understand, I cannot say it enough. It is imperative that we embrace our irritation. So when we find out that all things work together for the good to them that are called according to his purpose, we will begin to accept our irritation. Now, in the last broadcast, we found out that Peninnah's name meant pearl. And we talked about how a pearl is formed. A pearl is formed by a grain of salt getting into the mouth, a grain of dirt, getting into the mouth of the oyster. And the dirt just irritates and irritates until a pearl is formed. Now, I can imagine those of you that are watching this broadcast, you're feeling some irritations. But I submit unto you, if you can embrace it, if you can just clasp hold to what God's doing in your life, I will say unto you that it is making you. It is not breaking you. It is making you because of the plan or the purpose of God in your life. I can imagine Hannah feeling some type of way, feeling impatient, feeling troubled, feeling vexed, not being able to bring forth a son, because in this day it was an honor to bring forth a son. Now, in her feeling some type of way, we now can understand that even though we feel troubled, even though we feel vexed, even though we get impatient, it's still about God's timing. And when you can understand and tap into who you are in God and understand that God has a plan, He has a purpose for your life, you will not get ahead of God. You will stay flat-footed right where you are, and you will rise up under the pressure and begin to speak to yourself, I will embrace my irritation because I understand that it's making me. I understand that God is forming in me greatness. God is forming in me His purpose. God is doing something so magnificent in my life that I can stand up under anything that comes my way. I encourage you right now to embrace your irritation. You cannot get in a hurry. I know situations come. I know that, things are bothering you, just like with Hannah. Penina and Elkanah felt like that this was an outward. They understood it to be an outward circumstance, not understanding that even though she was unable to bring forth children at that time, God was still moving ahead. God was still doing something in her life. And even though you feel that you're stuck right where you are right now, God is still doing something in your life. God has begun a good work in you. He is well able to finish the work that He's begun in you. I know it looks like it's not going to happen. God, you promised me this, you promised me that, but we must remember, the Bible said that the Lord shut up Hannah's womb. The Lord caused Hannah not to be able to bring forth or to be barren. I believe that if you could understand that it is God that is doing what He's doing in your life right now, and He simply wants you to bear up under the pressure. Verse 8 says, Elkanah, her husband, would say to her, Hannah, why are you weeping? Why don't you eat? Why are you downhearted? Don't I mean more to you than 10 sons? I can imagine them looking at her when he said, why aren't you eating? Why are you so down? Friends come into our lives, our brother or our sister in the Lord come into our life and ask us, why aren't you eating? Why are you so downtrodden? Why are you feeling this way? I know that you're feeling some type of way. And guess what? It is a reality that you're feeling that type of way. But even though you're feeling that type of way, I want you to understand that weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. When you can understand that all things work together for the good to them that are called according to my purpose. God is calling you. He is calling you to embrace your irritation. He is calling you to stand up and declare His name to be glorious. And I say to you through this broadcast, embrace your irritation. Understand that Jesus learned obedience through the things that He suffered. And if He is the pattern son, so shall you and I learn obedience through the things that we're suffering. I hope this broadcast may be beneficial to you. I say to you again, embrace your irritation. You can email me at ribwoman00@yahoo.com with your comments. You can email me just to tell me that you've been blessed by this broadcast. I look forward to hearing from you, and again, embrace your irritation.